Hello, welcome back to The Uncommon Truth. I'm joined again by Steve and Vicky Orsillo.
Yep, I'm back. It's been quite a few that I haven't been on. I was sick and then we went away. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to be back.
We're glad to be back. We're glad to have you back.
Me
Thank you.
too.
And I have to ask, how was your time in Florida?
You have to ask.
I have to ask.
It was really good. It was really nice.
Yeah.
We took so we usually go on cruises, and this time we didn't go on a cruise in Florida, and we haven't seen Florida. So I said to Steve, "I'm gonna take him to Disney World," and I think inside his internal reaction was
Ooh.
he didn't really want to go.
Yeah.
But think that you'd go back again, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. I
It was
loved
great.
it.
Honestly, we haven't been to Disney for many, many years, and there's a feeling still when you walk into Disney. It's just, it brings me back to my childhood and when everything was kind of, besides it being really expensive, the simplicity of, Disney, happy and clean everywhere.
Happy and clean.
The attention to detail
Yeah.
is amazing. So we had a great time.
Yeah, there's a T-shirt people wear around Disney that says Disney, the most expensive day ever.
Ever.
Yeah.
We found that to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we had a good time, and then we went there for 7 days, and then we drove to a few beaches, went to Fort Lauderdale and Daytona.
What's the place?
St.
north?
Augustine.
St.
Yeah.
Augustine. Yeah.
And then that was really nice, just driving around, seeing Florida. It's a beautiful state. If you're from Florida, you're really blessed. It's nice.
Lust.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm glad that you
Yeah.
guys had some
It was
time.
really, really cold.
Really cold.
Oh my gosh, it was there. I guess there's a nor'easter by New York area, and it was not warm. We were walking the boardwalk down there by Fort Lauderdale, and it was freezing.
They literally had a warning that it would be raining iguanas.
Did they really?
Yeah, it's so cold the iguanas just sit there in a tree and they just lose grip and they fall.
Oh.
We saw one.
We saw one, yeah. We saw this iguana and everybody
They're
goes, "Did you
frozen.
hear the news where they're falling out of trees?" And I said, "No, I didn't hear that, but I've heard it since 3 or 4 times."
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, that there was a report in Florida that it was raining iguanas. They're falling out of trees and hitting people.
They're big. We just were riding
They're
bike
a
one day, and
big
it was
old lizard.
big.
That's,
Yeah.
And they've overrun Florida. It's a real.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, it's a trouble.
Yeah.
Iguana capital of the world.
Yeah, they have iguana bounties.
Yeah. So it was a good time.
That's
We're
good.
glad to be back.
I'm glad that you guys are back, and I believe the Lord refreshed you and said a few things to you, and we're excited to hear about that in The Uncommon Truth.
That's it.
But
Let's go.
today we finished the last letter of our series in Revelation a few weeks ago now. We finally got to Laodicea after talking about it for
Forever.
a few weeks, and we learned about him.
Can I just say that if you have not listened to those
Yeah.
podcasts regarding the seven letters,
Yes.
in Revelations, I would really encourage you strongly to go back and listen to those. They are something else in context.
Yeah.
Reading them, Jesus' letters to the churches. Obviously, it's who was it? John? I had a senior moment, but it would just go back and listen to those podcasts. They were fabulous. Well
They
done.
yeah. We had a lot of great revelation, and I'm excited for me to see what taking some of those things on and looking at them is going to bear in my life. So
Good.
today let's look at Revelation 4, which is immediately after those letters. And John continues on his journey. And I just want to look at what comes next, and from there we're going to go into some other things as we move forward in the series, but I want to take a look here today.
Okay.
So Revelation 4 verse 1, it says, "After these things," being the letters, "I looked, and behold, a door standing open in heaven, and the first voice which I had heard, like the sound of a trumpet speaking with me, said, 'Come up here, and I will show you what must take place after these things.' Immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was standing in heaven, and one sitting on the throne. He who was sitting was like a jasper stone, and a sardius in appearance. And there was a rainbow around the throne, like an emerald in appearance. Around the throne were 24 thrones, and upon the thrones I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white garments, and golden crowns on their heads. Out from the throne came flashes of lightning and sounds like peals of thunder, and there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. And before the throne there was something like a sea of glass, like crystal, and in the center and around the throne 4 living creatures, full of eyes, in front and behind. The first creature was like a lion, the second creature like a calf, The third had the face of a man, and the fourth creature was like a flying eagle. And the 4 living creatures, each one of them having 6 wings, full of eyes around and within, and day and night they do not cease to say, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God, the Almighty, who was, and who is to come. And when the living creatures give glory and honor and thanks to him who sits on the throne, to him who lives forever and ever, the 24 elders will fall down before him who sits on the throne, and will worship him who lives forever and ever, and will cast their crowns before the Lord, saying, Worthy are you, our Lord and our God, to receive glory and honor and power. For you created all things, and because of your will they existed and were created.
Wow. What are you going to do with that?
I mean, the thing that immediately stands out to me is just the glory of who he is, and the glory of what he's made, and the wonder of his power. But
Wow.
I guess Steve, you can share whatever you want to share from reading that. But my thought for us is, there's something in that after the revelation of Jesus that John sees, after hearing his words and his teaching and all of that, then the immediate thing we start to see is his glory and the response to that being worship. So there's something special, I believe, in that connection. But what would you like to share with us?
I think that in any world that wants to know who God is, and you look at what we've created with our imaginations and our cartoons, our animation, all that stuff, what we've created. And we go to the far end, when we create a really evil beast, like in movies where there's some really evil thing that is so, completely powerful, demonic. Like the Green Lantern movie had a really horrible one that came to eat everything.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And so many movies have all these things like this where the imagination, and then you look at the superheroes that are so popular today in this generation. We create this imagination of something, and we make it outlandish. We make it way out there. This Thanos character that's like a god-like character, but he looks like a man, and he doesn't have 7 spirits, for heaven's sakes. He doesn't have all this, emerald eyes and sardius and all the things this is saying. And it's these 24 elders clothed in white. See, we want to just stop there, but they have eyes around underneath their wings and their arms. They have arms all around. I mean, they do not look like somebody you'd want to meet outside in the dark. And they do not,
so
if you were going to imagine bad things, you would draw pictures of this description.
That's good.
But what it is, it's a what's the word? It's a seduction of what we think of God and who God is. It's a seducing of them, of our minds. And if we just let the Bible teach us these things and say, do you still want to go to heaven after reading that? Do you still want to spend eternity with this God who is described in this way? And the focus of the serving angels is to worship him and declare his glory. And he likes to be worshiped. And, we create a world that's completely the opposite of God, and we make people want something other than God. And then we fail to teach this. We really do not bring this into the Christian church very often, that he is described this way, that his throne is this way, and that the elders around his throne behave this way, and the beings there look this way. And it's, do you still want to be with him?
Wow.
And I think that really what's important in the book, why it's in the Bible, is because I understand this feeling that if you know me, you may not want me. And you really got to want God. And you really must begin to learn who he is. We make up who he is all the time. We make God in man's image all the time. And it's pretty amazing that he made us in his image, and then we say he had a sense of humor doing that, and he wasn't fooling me doing that. There was no sense of humor involved in making man and then making woman and saying it was good. And as you get to know him, you look at it and you say, well, I get to know you, and I find that I am pitiful, poor, blind, and naked standing in front of you. I am not pure next to you. I am not plumb next to you. And you look very strange. You are dressed up very strange. And into my imagination, in my world.
Right.
Now, do I want him? And do I want to know more about him? Because what if there's more?
Yeah.
I guess the question comes down to not what if, but are you willing to let God be God
Right.
and love him for who he is, not for who you make him to be, not for who you declare him to be?
That's really good.
Facebook is the launching pad. It's the stage, center stage for the misrepresentation of God.
Yeah.
And the Bible should be center stage, and
good.
we should be reading it for who is he, not how do I sound smart when I quote it.
Yeah.
We should be looking at it for who is he, and when I know who he is, do I still want him? And if I do want him, who does that make me? What's the calling in my life? How am I supposed to respond to that? Revelation goes very clearly to tell you how. He just did in 7 letters tell us how to respond to him and what he requires of us and wants from us kind of stuff.
That's good.
But that's what I see when I read this, is that just the off the top thing is, wow, do you still want him after reading that? I mean, he's a supernatural plowboy, and he's dressed up kind of strange, just how Barry Maguire said it many years ago, And it's like I right immediately knew what he was talking about. Yeah, he is dressed up kind of strange. He does not look like my imagination would imagine. I'd rather the picture of him in the clouds, the old man with the beard and white hair in the clouds with his hands out, receiving the world. Michelangelo's vision of God, I would rather have that vision. I think Michelangelo did some disservice in some way by only giving us that vision, because this vision here is a wholly different thing.
I'll admit that when I picture the throne, and even some of those verses about boldly approaching the throne by the blood of Christ, those kind of things, I don't
Say boldly.
boldly.
Okay.
Boldly.
I don't have a picture of the 24 elders and the 4 beasts and all creatures. I don't have that in that picture, and I think
it wouldn't be in your painting.
we kind of, like you said, we bring it down maybe to what we can understand or what we can comprehend or what makes us feel comfortable, and that's
my question is, the creatures, they sound kind of, like you said, a little weird, the creatures, but they're given glory. Who are they? I mean, who are the creatures? Anybody?
They're the angels. They're basically angels that minister to God. The 24 elders?
No, the creatures.
Oh, the creatures. Well, they're angels.
And who are the elders?
They're just the angels that are chosen as elders. Maybe they were created first or something.
It's not Paul, or it's not John, or it's not anything like that. Because it's 24. It's an interesting number of elders, and I've often wondered who are the creatures and who are the elders. And if I'm wondering that, I imagine other people are wondering that. So, Mr. Steve,
I'm pretty sure. I'm scrolling fast.
to see.
Yeah.
Studies show yourself approved.
I suppose if John saw the vision, it couldn't necessarily have been John.
You think John saw himself?
Well, he could have done, I suppose.
That's pretty narcissistic.
But I'd imagine it was, yeah.
I mean, does anybody? I mean, I don't know. It's just like the creatures don't sound like something that Jesus or God would really want at the throne. They're called creatures, and they're depicted not very wonderfully.
Well, I was looking for the description of the 24 elders, and it's crazy.
Yeah, they're white. They're clothed in white garments and golden crowns on their heads.
Yeah, but it talks about their eyes under their wings and all kinds.
I think that's the creatures, isn't it?
Yeah, somewhere.
Okay.
And they have eyes all the way around, so they can see.
The elders do?
Yeah, 24 elders.
Yeah,
anyway.
they do.
And anyway, I couldn't find it, and I don't want to take the time. But,
No.
But it's still so. Who are the creatures? They're God's creation.
Well, yeah, it's a lion. A second creature's like a calf. Third creature had a face like that of a man.
I think it represents the creation of God,
Yeah. Okay.
and man is part of the creation of God.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think it all points to that same idea that maybe, a lot of the thing, I think we talked about this right at the start of this season, which was that, lots of things in Revelation are up for interpretation.
Correct.
But they all point towards a God that is maybe bigger and holier and
way out
more
of our
wonderful
box
than we
understand. That's
right?
exactly right, Luke.
Yeah.
And I think Steve said it is that I think the problem in
22.
22nd? No, we're in 21st century.
Yes.
Is it
For
21st
the
century?
21st century, yes.
Okay,
sorry.
we're in 21st century, years 22. But I think that's the dilemma that we have in 21st century, is that we do want to make him in that picture Da Vinci or or whatever, Thomas Kincaid or whatever paints. It seems so much more static. And then you read this, we're sitting here thinking we can't even really comprehend this.
No.
Like you said, when I think of God, I never think about the guys with the eyes under his armpits.
Right.
I don't think of guys clothed in white. I think of angels sometimes, but the angels are in my interpretation as well, and they got the wings and they're white and they're cute and but that's very fascinating that I can't even comprehend basically what he's saying. Yeah. That's how great he is. But we oftentimes want to depict God as we want to, and it's wrong. He depicts who he is.
I think it does people a disservice.
Did I say it right?
Yeah. We present as father. We don't present this strong protector. What we have today is this vision of the Stay Puft Doughboy as your daddy. And you poke him in the belly and he laughs and chuckles and rolls
Pillsbury
around. Doughboy. That's what I said, yeah.
Stay Puff. Nobody knows what Stay Puff is.
The Stay Puft Doughboy, too.
Old people do. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pillsbury Doughboy
That's a
came
doughboy.
from the Stay Puft Doughboy.
Okay.
Anyway, why did we correct me for that? Because
it's been a few minutes. I need to correct you.
You hadn't corrected me in the last
Yeah.
3 minutes.
Oh, my God.
She was wrong.
Anyway.
She was wrong about something before the episode started, so she had to.
Okay, well, then I have to be wrong. All right, we digress. So
you did.
I think we present God and then they want to call him the lesser names of Father. They want to call him Papa or Daddy or
Abba God.
Heavenly Daddy, and they make this come play with you and tickle you and all those things, which I did with my kids, but that isn't how my kids don't remember. That's not how they describe me. I think that when we present God as like a very low description of Father, like the softer, easier one, without then describing the rest of him. And if we describe him as Michelangelo's old man reaching from the clouds, then we have to also describe him by the 4th chapter of Revelation. Right? And we have to give a clear picture of who he is, because I think this generation gets this, he loves you so much, he'll do everything for you, he'll bless you, he'll do everything. Doesn't matter what you'll do, he doesn't care what you do. And then they find out this is what he's like. And if you read, as we read in Revelations, you're going to see he really does care what you do. Right. And they're not telling you the truth that he doesn't care what you do. And Jesus is real clear he cares what you do. And they find that out and they walk away. I mean, faith is being abandoned everywhere because they find out that what they believed in, they don't even know what they believed in. Right. They find out what it is they're believing. So wait a minute, we have to believe the Bible? Isn't that a fairy tale book? Isn't that a made up book? In fact, a former pastor just told me, well, I just found out the Bible and went into all this Bible apologetics, proving the Bible wrong. And I'm like, man, you are so far off. It's unbelievable. You have all these assumptions, What's that thing Darwin does where he says if this happened or if that happened?
The
suppositions. They do suppositions and prove that the Bible's not true because they don't want to believe that that's who God is. And it's who John says he is. And the Bible has survived the scrutiny of many. I mean, it's really well scrutinized. And so I'm a biblical Christian, and if I'm going to believe, I'm going to have to believe the one in Revelation and the one in Genesis.
It's really good.
The one that, we love the story of the parted seas and the Israelites escaped, but what about the fact that all those Egyptian soldiers just following orders got swallowed up by an ocean? Right. I mean, I don't think that was very fun for them.
No. Or all the ites.
How about all the plagues in Israel, in Egypt? They weren't their king was making decisions, and he was writing checks, and they were paying the tab.
It's true.
They were covering them.
And then in the desert, plagues got hit on the Israelites too for the disobedience. That
right. So there's this both, and I think you need to see God before you determine that you love Him and want to follow Him. But I suggest you love Him and want to follow Him. Yeah. When you take this God with this kind of appearance and this kind of a king throne room, and then you look at that he came to pay a penalty. He left there in one of those 7 spirits or something. However that works, I don't even try to understand that 7 spirit thing. But if one of them is the Word, and it became Jesus, and Jesus is in a human body, but the Spirit of God, I think that you look at that story and you go, that God who looks like that and behaves like that, and he's the one of Genesis and the one of Revelation and the throughout the story of the Exodus and everything, but still came and paid the penalty for me.
Wow.
I think if you fall in love with him, he's
All
worth
facets.
following all the days of your life. And,
Yeah.
and then you watch in your life how life is good, how you get healed of your wounds, and you get it's further up and farther in, and you get better and better. You just get, line upon line, and you just keep growing, and your faith just keeps. But that's when you look at him and try to understand who he is. And I think the pursuit of who God is has got to be the most important pursuit of your life.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this is describing him. And when you're reading, I'm thinking, I wonder how many people really are listening, because the vast majority don't want to hear that.
No.
Then they have a choice to make. Oh, wait, I didn't want to know that about him. Now I can't like him.
Yeah.
And it's weird. It's horror story imagination stuff. I mean, but I like him.
I think, I think what you guys are saying is really good, is to looking at, who is God, the Old Testament, is God, the New Testament. He says in Hebrews 13:9, I'm the same yesterday, today, and forever. He changes not. And what he was talking about is, nowadays in lots of streams of Christianity, they want to make him the Pillsbury Doughboy. He kind of like, really is like a butler, and then when you read the Old Testament, it's like, what do you do with that? He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. He changes not. That's what he says. I change not. Or I'm not a man that I would lie. And then you read these things in Revelations, and it seems as though that our box needs to get a little bigger regarding our perception of who God is.
It's true.
I think we'll be surprised, like really surprised, when we see him face to face.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I didn't, no eye has seen, no ear has heard. So I think it's great. I think people should read Revelations. I think we're cautioned, like, don't read Revelations because you can't understand it. But it's pretty understandable.
Yeah.
Well,
There's
a lot you can't understand.
Right.
We just can't, like, the seven spirits. What's the seven spirits? I don't know. The seven spirits of God. We've never heard of the seven spirits of God. Who are they? We've heard of the three, Holy Spirit, the three in one. And so there is a lot that you cannot understand, but the gist of it, you can get the concept of who God may or may not be.
Yeah. I think
You can see enough
yeah,
to see enough to learn a lot.
you can. I think that as you were both speaking, I was just thinking about comfort, and I think one of the biggest challenges to reading these passages in Revelation, and even the certain parts of the story in the Old Testament, and even things that Jesus himself says in the Gospels, is that if it doesn't make us feel comfortable, then we don't really want to fit it into our faith anymore, right?
It's really true.
It doesn't make us feel comfortable.
And I think a lot of church culture today wants to maybe make people feel comfortable. I think we're all looking to have, jobs or finances or homes or stuff or things that make us feel comfortable. And that, when
That's
that
really good.
becomes an idol in our lives, these kind of passages that don't make us feel comfortable anymore, we have, we kind of just want to put it
That's really
to
good.
one side, right?
We want to exit out. Yeah, we don't want to read it. But it is just to really know who God is, and we never really will know who God is. But the journey to know who he is, I think you need to read both sides of the aisle, basically, and all from cover to cover, from Genesis all the way to Revelations. I think it's really important to get the whole gist of who he is. We often talk about, we're New Testament Christians, we're biblical Christians, and that's how we should live. But we should never lose fact or the track that he's still the same.
Yeah.
He just sent his son so that we might have a way to procure salvation and heaven and stuff. So it really is a sobering passage.
So what do you think about society today that has got us to this place where comfort seems to be our number one goal, or the absence of fear, whatever way you put it?
I think it's so human nature to want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
And then if you experience comfort, if you grew up on terrible car seats, and now you've got these amazing car seats that are all cushiony and you can adjust them and everything, which you're going to choose? It's very few people are going to choose to go back to that
Right.
for the seat, right? And we're always sitting in chairs, seeing if we're comfortable. And I think it's the pursuit of comfort isn't what's so bad as much as that everything has to be comfortable.
Right.
And God must be comfortable. He's got to be a comfortable God.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a trap you fall in with comfort. It's okay to want comfort. It's human nature to want comfort or be comforted. But the problem is then you start like rejecting things that are not comfortable.
Right.
And I think that when you do the study of God, you come upon many things that are not comfortable, like this description of all this throne and the creatures around the throne.
Yeah.
And John's description of the letters and those kind of things, man, that'll make you uncomfortable. Yeah. And what you have to really do is not try to avoid discomfort, just totally try to wipe it out of your life. It's failure and it's some struggle that really causes us to grow to become great.
Right.
And we live in a society now, we're at the point of comfort where we're bored with it. We're bored with trying to create comfort, so now we're trying to create something else. We're trying to rewrite and reimagine things. And we're going to end up with some pretty distant, things are going to get pretty far out there, distant from the truth. And heaven forbid, I have no desire to ever get far from the truth or to ever stop pursuing the truth,
Right.
That's my way of looking at it.
Yeah. As, we talked about the idea of a few minutes back about God as Father and how we now, a lot of the time, we want to present God as, the cuddly, nice Father, and as opposed to a Father that maybe disciplines or corrects or challenges or, is a more whole picture of a father. And I was Vicky, for you, I was thinking, what is it that you think causes people maybe to reject that part of who God the Father is?
Well, because it's just, we want to run from discomfort, like you guys were talking about. It's, we've had many tragedies and many things happen to us in our life, and as you have, and those are not, we don't want those. We really don't. And though if we look back and see what God has done through those, we could see his hand, but we never actually long for, boy, I wish I really want to lose my house. I really want to live under a tree. Yeah. And you read the words of the apostles, and lowered in a basket, being in prison, being beaten.
Stoned.
That's not very comfortable. Right. I don't think I want that, and then Jesus saying, these, this is how they're going to treat you. Yeah. And I think we want to avoid those. I do. I don't want to be persecuted. I don't even want people not to like me. So, it is our human flesh, we forget. But yeah, it's there. And then every time something happens, we want him to jaws of life us out of situations. And sometimes it's really, it's not the devil. Things are happening because God allows it, and it's for our good. But at the time, it's so horrendously hard. Yeah. And you grow so much, but yet we long for the times we feel like we're more blessed. I remember, for years and years, in fact, Steve and I have talked about it, is that, nothing really happened bad to us. I mean, our son had Down syndrome, and maybe people might think that was kind of a slug. But then for years and years, it just was like, we're so blessed, we're so blessed, we're so blessed. We equated that. We were blessed because there was no major maladies in our life. There was no upheavals. There was no death and destruction. And we actually said, we're so blessed. And that's what our equal sign was, is that we were comfortable. Look at it, we're all so comfortable. And I think that really is the wrong definition of what Christianity is and who God is. And the whole picture of God the Father is, you got to look at every chapter in the Bible and the way he responded, and we could die if we look at him, and you stand on holy ground, and all the Israelites who were, those poor Israelites, not the Israelites, the Egyptians were just doing, their commander told them to go get the Israelites, and they, that was their job, like working at Taco Bell, and the wall, they were all killed, or the fact that God said, don't, kill every living thing. He's talking about kids.
Right. Here you find out who he is.
It's like, that's so tragically huge, tragically big. We can't even think of God, a loving God like that. Yeah. And then people say, well, God wouldn't do that. A loving God wouldn't do that. How many times have you heard that? A loving God wouldn't do that. A loving God wouldn't take your 7-year-old granddaughter. Yeah. Well, my God is loving, and he did take my granddaughter, and he's still loving because I'm still here and he's still loving. But we put all these adjectives on him, and I don't even know if I answered your question. I think
That's
I
okay.
did.
Yeah, that's good.
But it's like we don't want to be persecuted, and we don't want to be uncomfortable. No. And everything. The government gives us everything, and we buy everything. And I'm just looking around this room, and we have everything we could possibly want. We lack for nothing. And then the Christians in China and Africa pray for us to be persecuted because they know. Yeah. That this is the full measure of who God is that a loving God, a loving Father would allow those things to happen to you, because He knows the game plan in the end.
And at the end of this chapter in Revelation that we read, that it goes into this moment when these creatures that we've been talking about that make us feel uncomfortable, their response to looking at God on the throne, right, is holy, holy, holy is the Lord, which there are many worship songs that talk about how holy He is and how worthy He is, and Steve, would you just maybe speak to what worship is and why we do it and why that's an important value? And
so I believe that we worship, the word means to express the worth of God. Yeah. And I think what God's looking for are people that can value Him and understand Him. Yeah. Knowing Him, do you still think He's good? Like Vicki just said. And I think His perspective of eternity versus our perspective of life being everything is probably where we'll find most of those answers. So I stand there with the idea that I don't understand. One thing I can guarantee you is I understand very little. Yeah. I see through a glass darkly. And so whatever portion of Him I see, having spent my life trying to find out who He is, trying to have Him reveal who He is, I have found great value in Him in my life. He might look funny. He might be that supernatural plowboy who's dressed up kind of strange, like Barry McGuire's song said, and yet I like Him, and I like having Him in my life. I like what He's done for my life. And I can see that He's very serious about what He says. Yeah. And all that understanding of Him, my life is the best it's ever been. And so He has great worth to me. And so I sing songs, and I really get into songs. I'll sing a lot of songs that don't really express my heart too much, but then I'll sing, you'll get in that song to a point where it really is what you want to say to Him. And so that's worship of God. And why we do it is, it's clear from this verse today, He likes it. Yeah. He likes being worshiped. Yeah. He created beings to worship Him. Oh yeah, that'll really turn some people on. But He created worshipers to declare how great He is and holy He is. And in my life, I've experienced a great deal of days walking with Him, and I have found that I want to walk with Him. Yeah. I don't want to hide from Him. I'm not afraid of what He'll say to me. I'm not afraid of what He'll ask for. And the whole, Bless My Life Club, they would be very afraid to meet Him as this creature described in here.
Frightening.
So we worship what we don't know. That's what Paul said that. We worship what we don't know. And I want to worship at least a little bit of knowing. Well, I want whatever I know to be okay. Yeah. Like, I know these things about God. Now I got to wrestle with that. Am I okay with that? Well, I'm okay with Him. And I'm okay with the idea I don't understand, so therefore one day I will understand. As much as I know now, as mature as I am now, I like Him, and I worship Him, and I adore what He's done in my life, and I love what He has done to allow me to receive. Like, the cross isn't in my life, it's there for me, and it becomes in my life when I receive it. And so there's so many things like that make you just stop and go, well, I don't understand why anybody on earth wouldn't worship Him. Why would anybody not worship Him? Right. If you can look up and see the sky, the clouds that breathe the air, look around you and see the earth created, the creation, how babies are made first, and then how they're born. I mean, it's just so miraculous. It's like, I don't even know how that could be explained as evolution. I don't even know how anything like that couldn't be intelligent design. How does that it must be intelligent design to me. But you just look around and you see how wondrously man is made compared to the rest of creation. And He says He made man in His image. He didn't say that about the rest of it. And so how much different man is. Yeah. There's so many reasons to look and say, no, I believe that he's good,
Yeah.
and I believe that he's real. And I've seen him in my life, and I will follow him, and I will worship him. And so worship as a song service is really the lowest form of worship there is. Worship as obedience, worship as following direction, beside, on top of obedience. Like obedience is just, I would think, having rules in your life, having standards that you adhere to.
Yeah.
But I would think that following and imitating and just trying to live in a pleasing manner that brings honor and glory to him.
Yeah.
To say I'm a follower of God's and then to act bad makes God look bad. You're following him and doing bad. I want to do good. I want someone to say, wow, why do you do good? Because I follow a good God. But I don't want it to just be words. I want my actions to speak louder than those words. And I want my life to prove it's true.
That's really good.
And so to me, that's the highest form of worship.
Yeah.
Imitation, sincerest form of flattery is what we've said, but it's really the highest form of worship. So imitation, living my life, giving my money away, one of the highest forms of worship there is. I think it's much greater than the song service, much more important. But what's really big
really good.
is the corporate worship,
Yeah.
where two or more gather, where two agree on the worshipful things. Like these are some of the best words in the whole world. The ones
Holy,
in
holy, holy.
yeah, the holy, holy, holy is the Lord God
Yeah.
Almighty, who was and is to come. And there's worthy are you, Lord.
Yeah.
That whole worthy are you
At the
saying.
bottom, yeah.
Yeah, to take the book and break its seals, and you're worthy.
Oh.
You are a worthy God, and to
Yeah.
say those things, you're saying what the worth of God to you is.
Right.
All the things they start singing, they're just really good words to sing to God,
Yeah.
and they're good words to say to God. And so, to me, that's why we worship. I have found there's a benefit from worship, but the beginning of worship is just the understanding that He's good.
Yeah.
And He likes it. So if I didn't like to sing or I didn't like to worship, I still should do it because He likes it.
Right.
And if I'm going to say I love Him, the least I can do is do what He likes.
That's good.
He says He likes obedience. He likes righteous living. There's so many. There's a whole list of them Solomon put in the Bible.
Yeah.
Things He likes: righteousness, honesty, honor and integrity, goodness, grace, forgiveness. He likes all those things. So we should do those because He likes it. And we should really count, like lick your finger and go, check mark. I worshiped Him today because I did what He said.
Yeah.
I did what He likes.
It's really good. So as we see Him, the more we know Him, our response should be to love Him and to worship Him. And
Yeah, it should be to love Him
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
I understand that this chapter today puts you on your back heels.
Yeah.
But you got to think it through.
Right.
And decide.
Yeah.
That it's not that He just suddenly became that way. This book was written 2,000 years ago.
Right.
And it was many thousand before that He first showed up with man.
Yep.
He's been this every day
yeah.
of that time. And all descriptions of Him. Adam saw Him.
Yeah.
Very few people ever saw Him. Moses got pretty close to seeing Him.
Yeah.
And by the time Moses came along, we'd been so diminished by sin that we couldn't look at Him. Adam got to walk with Him and see Him because Adam was perfected human who then went to sin after he saw
Right.
God. And so we can't see God because we can't survive it because we're in a weakened state. And what's awesome is He doesn't show Himself to us because He knows it'll kill us. And He's good that way.
Yeah.
And if we're bad, we're going to get what He says because He's honest and He has integrity. And He wants us to worship Him with our lives.
Yeah.
Lay down our lives. And one of the biggest, here's another huge form of worship. Just trust in Him.
Yeah.
Trust me. I love when you trust me.
Yeah.
And since He loves when I trust Him, why don't we just
Trust Him.
trust Him?
It's good.
Amen?
That's really
Amen.
Amen?
So we encourage you guys just to
Bam.
read these words and
Bam.
if you got to wrestle with them, if you got to talk to somebody about them, if you got to ask questions, but don't just put it to one side because it's uncomfortable, or put it to one side because you don't understand, but seek Him and find Him and love Him and discover that He's good even when we don't understand.
It's really good.
And we just thank you for listening today, and we'll
Thank you.
be back next time.
We will. We're on a roll.
I don't know.
God bless you guys.
God bless you.